the Rwandese president come back.
I gotta tell you something I could do.
I wish I had a good comeback as Kagame. President Kagame always knows what to say, and sometimes I even wonder, does he practice in front of a mirror before he goes to interviews? But first, watch the video, watch the clip. We'll come back and discuss.
You've spoken a lot about democracy, and I would just like to point to the accusations of human rights abuses in terms of the elimination of your political opponents or the oppression of the press, and I would just like to hear your comments towards that.
No, I would like to hear your comments because for me, it's like, it's always difficult to accuse me of anything and then say, prove yourself innocent. I think I want to turn it to you and say, prove me guilty. That's where the problem lies. The press or human rights groups, what they say about me personally or about Rwanda, when you are in Rwanda and are dealing with these decent human beings also in Rwanda, and they tell you their own stories, you won't trace even 0.001% of what they're talking about. Okay. The real life there is completely different from what the young girl is talking about. Absolutely different. But people will stay here, will be here in the US and wherever, and they've never even been to Rwanda, they've never met Rwandans. The real Rwandans, they are there. Rwandans are there. The real people of Rwanda who are no different from you, what you aspire to be, to have, to do, they are no different. But it's as if Rwanda is treated like a botanical garden where you just go and water flowers and, no, human beings like anyone in this room. Absolutely. So these so-called human don't know what. I tell you, half of my life, I've been living in the trenches, not sure of living to the next day. I didn't fight to be the president of my country. Never. It came by accident, I think. So I was fighting for my own rights, which anyone in any human rights organization could not give me. And even now cannot give me or cannot give Rwandans. So it's cynical and absurd that anyone would just be there talking about violations, me as the leader of my own people to be accused of violating their rights. It's just an absurd insult. But my answer is simple, is to do my best to serve my people the best way they can be served. That is the answer.
That's a great last word. Thank you. President Paul Kagame of Rwanda.
You heard his response, right? That's why I said I think he practices in front of the mirror before he goes outside to meet these people, because this is not his first time. He's really quick with the comeback. He's really good. I respect him. I really, really respect him. And love him or hate him, you have to admit he is good in clapping back. I did a video about his other clapback 2 years ago. Watch that one. We'll come back and talk.
I think this kind of discussion, which has gone on for a very long time around, sounds a bit cynical in a sense. In fact, it's like the tragic situation of 1994 isn't considered even a violation of human rights. It has now gone into the background. Those who are responsible for it, those who are associated with it, are now talking about something else. According to them, the situation in Rwanda is that of human rights violation, even more than that tragic situation. I think that's what we are talking about. So
well, just for example, there was an Amnesty International wrote a report in the lead up to the 2017 election that talks about opposition politicians, journalists, human rights defenders being jailed, physically attacked, even killed.
I think you're interested in
forced into exile or silence. I'm just interested in your idea of that assessment of your country.
Raising your views to the audience so that you influence them by what
well, the European Union sees itself very much as an
answers?
Exporter of human rights and a defender of human rights.
So why can't you let me answer this?
I'm very interested in
Otherwise,
your answer.
you are going to ask and then answer yourself.
I'm very interested in your answer. I'm giving you some context on why I'm asking.
You're asking and giving answer at the same time. So
please tell me, what do you make of this assessment?
I think it's just ridiculous because there is nothing like human rights minus these things we are talking about. What we are talking about in terms of development. These are human rights. Development, schools, education, health, and food security. And, you know, when you see now, the level of poverty has decreased almost by 60%. So these people, these human beings with improved lives and participating in that themselves to improve their own lives, gets lost in what the whole list you've been spelling out as if, you know, what is in Rwanda is really hell. In fact, forgetting the hell that we have gone through, that we stood against and sorted out when you were there just talking about more or less nonsense. Because
do you reject the accusations, for example, from Amnesty International?
Absolute rubbish.
You reject
Rwanda
that?
is completely different from what it was 25 years ago. In fact, maybe you need to be looking around in Europe. You are violating people's rights. When we have this problem of people being bundled and sent back to sink in the Mediterranean and so on, and so many people being mistreated in your own countries. Why don't you talk about your human rights and stop just offloading everything?
Well, this is a development conversation, so
no,
in the context of development.
You are not the one to determine what conversation or what points to raise in any conversation. You are asking questions, this is what I'm saying. You are asking questions and you are giving yourself answers. You really need to stop this superiority complex nonsense about human rights. You think you are the only ones who respect human rights, or others it's about violating human rights. No, we've fought for human rights and freedoms of our people much better and more than anyone, including you people who keep talking about this nonsense. Where we have taken our country from and where it is now speaks for itself. The rest of the stories just comes from this complex. You know, these two worlds where there are people who know everything about human rights and all kinds of things, and another world where people are just people who don't know. But these are our human rights. It's not, when we respect the things we respect in our countries, it's not for you, it's not for anybody else, it's for ourselves.
Is it not
so
a universal
you don't sit
right?
there. Yes, it is universal, but you don't sit there. If it is universal and you believe it, then you don't become the judge yourself. You don't start telling the others what to do, what they should not to do, or that what they are doing is not to your satisfaction. Who are you?
Well, I'm not sure if we're talking about me personally.
Well, you are the one actually raising these questions. So I think you better interpret it properly so that it is well understood.
Okay.
I could see you asking questions in a manner that you want to influence the ones listening to us. But that's not correct.
Okay. Yeah. I'm raising it once again in the context of the United Nations Development Goals.
No, United Nations is us You
Of
see,
course.
United Nations is not something alien somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's actually us. We participate.
And the
in
framework
United
for this entire development
And by the
conversation.
way, I had been leading the Millennium Development Goals before Sustainable Development Goals. I was the co-chair of that with other leaders and some of the leaders in Europe. So you don't turn around, it's like you want...
So you believe that there should be scrutiny on human rights in Europe, in Africa,
No,
in
I
all
believe
countries?
that you shouldn't be there belittling Africans or leaders of Africa who are trying
Oh
to
no,
do
but
their
the
best.
conversation about migration is a real conversation about human rights. So you believe that there are valid human rights concerns to be taken into account in this conversation?
Even in Europe, not in Africa.
Not in Africa?
In Europe. In Europe, not only in Africa.
Not, of course.
Yes.
Well, thank you both very much.
Thank
Unfortunately,
you,
that is all
Rana.
we have time for.
You see what I mean? This man makes me proud. This man is the kind of leader I would want. Well, when I say that, I don't mean in everything, you know. I'm sorry about the dog. If you can hear it, ignore it. Focus on me. So I was saying, of course, we hear stuff about Kagame too. He's not a perfect leader. I'm sure he has his thing going on, and I've heard a few things about him too that are not so nice. But at the same time, you know, we can appreciate the things that he does really well, and that is clapping back at journalists and, you know, especially the Western world, journalists from the West that think that they are better than us. He's like, sit down. No, you're not. Let me explain to you why you are full of, you know. So yeah, I really appreciate the way he stands up for himself, as well as his people, as well as Africans. When he's talking, you know, he's representing us as well. And the fact that he's not backing down and not let a lie be told in front of him or about him, that's dope, that he doesn't accept it and he will right away clap back. I wanted to appreciate him because I saw this video on Tunacheke and I'm like, I have to talk about this because this is not his first time doing this. And frankly, he just makes me very happy when I hear things like this, the same way Magufuli, you know, even him, he's controversial. Some people don't like him, some things that I don't even agree with, but at the same time, we have to appreciate the good things that they do. You know, as leaders, they're also human beings, but when they are doing good things and standing up for their people and doing awesome things, we need to be able to say, good job. But can you also fix A, B, C, and D? I think it's only fair. Anyways, guys, let me know down below what your thoughts are about the Rwandese president comeback. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.